Welcome to the Diaries of a Teenage Burnout. That was improv.
We're so good at this.
Yeah.
This is natural for us.
Anyway, today we're here to talk about stranger danger and the perils of internet access at an early age.
With
our guest,
Xavier
Ramirez.
Yeah.
No middle name.
Unless you count the one Leanne gave you in middle school or elementary school. Yeah,
it
it's
was
a little racist.
Little racist. Sanchez is
Oh.
Sanchez is not my middle name.
Despite what some may claim.
But yeah, I mean, as somebody who's probably been a stranger to many people, I feel really qualified to talk about that.
True.
Being a teenager and having social media and just having access to the internet at a young age has it's kind of molded me as a person and characterized me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
A lot of detrimental experiences, I'd say.
Because you want to present yourself in a certain way to the internet and the world out there, especially to adults too.
Yeah, I didn't even know what I would be like without the internet.
Honestly, yeah.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
that's actually kind of such a scary
Like, now that
thought.
I'm thinking about it,
Because
like...
we're one of the first generations that grew up fully online. You know what I mean? Because we've had computers and shit, internet access since we were
I was
children.
watching Zoella hair tutorials, age 8.
Exactly. So our parents they don't know the scope of the things that we saw when we were kids.
Oh, well, I also saw fucked up
yeah, definitely.
gangbang prison porn. Can I say that?
Yeah,
I say that?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
we're just being
fine.
honest here.
Okay.
I want to ask, when was the first time you guys saw explicit sexual content on the internet?
Oh.
Probably,
How old were you?
I was exposed... We all were exposed to it by somebody else, weren't we? Somebody
No, actually, I found it on my own.
Oh, no.
How old were you?
No,
Okay,
no.
well, this was my experience, but I was I think this was sophomore year of high school. I was pretty late to...
What? No way.
Sorry.
No
I'm
way.
sorry. But,
Wow.
one of my classmates actually, showed me a video and stuff, in class, and I was just, completely flabbergasted. I was shook.
Wow.
And I was just,
Sophomore
sitting
year.
doing my Spanish homework.
So did you not know what sex was to your whole life?
Well, not that. I
Oh.
just really wasn't interested in it at all, and I didn't, I was just it's whatever.
Good for you.
Honestly, yeah.
Good
And then
for you.
I just didn't enter my hypersexual era yet.
So Xavier, how about you?
Well, Audrey, I know we can relate on this in that we both were curious children.
Very curious children.
So probably when I was 8.
It's 8.
Yeah, 8
Yeah,
is the
my
age.
brother's tablet. I used my brother's tablet.
No, because my grandma gave me an iPod Touch when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
So I had
Wait, you can do the internet on iPod Touch?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
You just can't get data.
Okay.
But if you have Wi-Fi.
I bet you just music. I don't know. I had my brother's iPod.
No, an iPod.
Oh, it was a touch.
It's an iPod Touch.
Okay.
So it's basically a phone.
Okay.
But, so I had that since I was 6, and I had unfiltered access to the internet, because my parents was he's 6, so he's not going to do anything.
Yeah,
But the
about
second
that.
I turned 8, girl, I was just watching porn.
Yeah, I was just watching porn too.
I was okay, but what are you?
What was your website?
Pornhub.
I used X videos.
Really?
I was on some weird ass website because I didn't know Pornhub existed until
No,
later.
I didn't I didn't is Mr. Voice gonna listen? Whatever. No, because I didn't masturbate because I didn't know what that was.
I don't think I did either.
Yeah, I was
We're
just
just, watching.
I was just curious. I was
What is this?
I need to see what the girls are doing.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I didn't watch gay porn at first. It took me a second to get to gay porn because that was the next level. But yeah, and
I don't
honestly, I regret it, but hey,
It's just a part of you now.
Yeah.
This is just who I am.
I think being exposed to porn and just seeing it because the way I think about it when people say explicit content, I think about TV as well, because I'm looking at the shows and stuff that were always on TV. And they would just randomly have a sex scene up in there and you'd just be whoa.
But at least
okay.
TV shows go through censors and stuff, but on the
Yeah.
internet there is nothing.
It's
It's just full on.
it's open hole.
Yeah, that. Oh
It's
god,
gross.
gaping
It's
it's
gross.
nasty.
And it's gross, but it's hey, you know.
Yeah.
And
And this creates what you think sex is as a kid. This is what you perceive to be sex
I'm
too.
forever
Different.
fucked up.
It's it's weird because I'm thinking about what I thought porn was and what it actually is, Because I was just like, everyone has sex the same way as a kid.
Oh,
like, you're
no.
just like, everybody does this, and that. And even when you think about it from, like, somebody who's, like, gay or somebody who's a lesbian, they're just like, well, it's like they're obviously going to do it the same way, like, the straight couple does it.
Right.
Like, we didn't really, like, think too much in depth about it as kids because we weren't really, like, that interested.
Like, I just, like, accepted everything for what it was as,
Yeah.
like, fact, which is sort of an
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah, like you would, especially with porn, you see a lot of like men being violent with their partners
Oh,
during
yeah.
sex,
Extremely.
and it's very gross.
And, like, but, like, porn is, like, a lot of the setups. And, like, the scenes are, like, just not...
realistic whatsoever. Like,
They're not realistic,
delivery
and they're not, like, always 100% consensual or, like, comfortable.
And I think one thing that's really interesting to me is like the notion that like a lot of the porns they have like the man will like service the woman in some way and she pays him back with sex.
Yeah.
All the
Which
time.
Disgusting.
That's literally why guys think that a lot of their emotional like expressions and stuff and a lot of their acts of kindness are transactional. And they're just like, well, I should be getting this.
And they like deserve something out of women.
And
Like-
usually
It's
it's
disgusting.
sexual.
It's so weird because I feel like from a male standpoint and from a female standpoint, we interpret porn differently. Because it's just the way that we are presented in porn that's really different. Because men are usually showcased as dominant in porn and women as
Submissive.
somebody who's supposed to be like subservient or somebody who's supposed to go through all this pain and like suffering in
And
order to
still like it.
in order to
Yeah,
be
Yeah.
for like a
person.
man's pleasure.
And then you
So
see
gross.
that like showcased in a lot of the basic like friendships and relationships that men and women will have with each other. And I like to call it like weaponized incompetence, the way men pretend like they don't know how harmful porn is, but they'll still engage in it. And I'm just like, well, they're just like, well, everybody does it. Well, not everybody's beating their girlfriend.
True.
So and like, because I'll notice the people who are super aggressive, people who sexually assault people, people who don't understand boundaries, heavily watch porn.
Well, like it's like okay, I watch porn.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like,
Like,
Me too.
but it's like
You have to like create like a
there's like it's like watching a drag queen. It's like you know that like
it's not real.
underneath
You know what I mean?
there's like some stuff, but you can enjoy like the moments. And obviously, like I'm not watching like rape porn.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But it's like, it's just I think you have to create a separation in your head for it
exactly.
in order to watch porn because like most people do watch porn.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure. I'm not gonna say that. Never mind.
No, come on.
No.
Okay, fine. Fair enough.
Consent.
Consent is
Consent
very
is
important.
key.
Yeah, I know people like there's people that are into like non-consent, even like women are
Consensual
too.
non-consent.
Consent. Yeah, but like it's trippy, it's creepy, right? But you can't like just see everything that
I wish you guys could see my facial
Yeah.
expressions.
like
It's
you can have like kinks and fetishes and shit, but don't like put that onto someone that you don't know is that they're gonna be into that
Yeah.
because that's just fucking rape. You know what I mean? Like
It's crazy.
in my opinion, I feel like minors shouldn't even like. I'm just thinking about it.
Have-
At 14, what do you mean you have this kink?
oh yeah,
What are you
true.
talking
That's
about?
true.
Having
and
like
there's so
hardcore
many.
fetishes when you're like 14.
It's like
That's-
yeah, I'm
yeah,
into
it's
blood
weird.
and
Like-
knives.
Like, babe, no, you're not.
yeah, like choking and all these.
No, you're not.
And like
Read
what?
To Kill a Mockingbird.
So honestly, some people like never had sex before. Like they only like see
Yeah.
that off like
It's like, can
Internet-
you even have a kink if you've never had sex?
It's weird. You know
I don't
what
think
I've
so.
noticed? Like, okay, this is based off Euphoria solely, but
Euphoria does a good job covering like
It
the
does
effects
a
of porn.
good
I
job.
love Euphoria.
even though second season, I'm sorry, you guys are gonna hate me. I didn't like the second season,
The
but
writing was kind of weird.
the writing was
I
terrible.
liked
it. It was
But it was
amazing.
very pretty
It
to
was
watch.
It was
It was
pretty, yeah.
So it was
beautiful.
beautiful.
Anyway,
But did I just lose my train of thought? No, I didn't. It
Euphoria.
came back. It came back. I'm looking at this, and people have a warped idea of what healthy sexual relationships are, and it is because of the media, and it is because of porn. Because I'm thinking about it, and it's just like you do not have to have hardcore kinks in order to be like sexual. Like
That's
people
true.
think that you're not like a pleaser or something, or you're not good at it just because you're not doing stuff that's hardcore. And people like to call it vanilla or something.
like it's a
Like-
bad thing.
Oh, you're boring.
Like,
Yeah, like,
maybe
no, I just
that's
wanna
not
have-
what everybody wants.
Like,
a
maybe-
good time.
Maybe people just like to have sex with,
People
somebody they love. It's like
and not
like,
trying to hate them or
really normal and like
yeah.
Some people don't like getting like punched in the face, I
or
guess.
slammed against a pillow or
it's just like
whatever.
No, it's disgusting.
Yeah, this is coming from somebody who's a virgin who can't drive.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm a very reliable source here.
I'm a virgin. That being said,
I'm also a virgin. Everyone here is a virgin.
you just name this podcast Virgin Talk. No, okay.
That'd be a cute one.
Okay, sorry. But I am a virgin, but I have had my fair share of sexual experiences. And on Yubo, okay.
I never been
Yubo
on
is an
Yubo.
interesting app, and for a moment in time, I was using it as research.
Okay.
And I would find the most fucked up guys, and I would talk to them. And I would be like, okay, but why do you want this? And I talked to a guy who had a rape kink. And I was like, where did this come from? Yes.
Yo.
Yes.
What'd
I
you
was
find
like,
out?
okay. So the guy who had a rape kink also wanted to have sex with his brother. But I didn't, I didn't really talk about that. Because I was like, I'm not there yet.
Okay.
But I was like, why do you ever just want to have sex with somebody, like, and they want it as well?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, I just don't think anybody would ever, like, want to have sex with me. Which is, like,
okay.
I've never thought about that. But it was really interesting. And
They
obviously,
say that's their only option.
yeah, is to, like,
When it's not true.
That's weird.
to, like, be told so much that you're, like, not
Unlovable
desirable
and,
and you're, like, ugly and unlovable, that the only way you can experience sexual gratification is if the other person is, like, not enjoying it, is crazy.
Not on board.
But it's sad. And then from the other side, women who enjoy consensual non-consent. Because back in the day, I've researched consensual non-consent a lot. But back in the day, there was this book. And it was like this woman. It was like a really popular book and everybody was really into it. And it was started off with a rape. Like a romance that started off with a rape, which is kind of common. Like in Game of Thrones.
Like romance novels. And
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
And the reasoning behind it is that the women still can, like, maintain their own sense of purity that they think is, like, super important. If they're like,
Even
oh, I
after
didn't
being
want
defiled.
it.
Yeah.
But it's like they still can experience sexual gratification, which is why there's, like, on the receiving end of consensual non-consent, there's, like, people that are into it. So I think it's really interesting. I just don't know if it's healthy.
Probably not.
I don't know. Because then there's, like, the other reason of people being like, oh, I'm doing it for, like, my trauma because, like, I was raped in the past and so I, like...
You don't know how to experience it without Nana.
It's weird.
Yeah. That took a dark turn.
Sorry.
It's
I mean, it's
Sorry.
reality, right?
And I talked to the guy and he was really chill.
you can't just like...
He was chill.
I'm sure he was...
You should be chilling in a therapist's office.
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not in your Yubo DMs.
Like, he definitely should go to therapy. I hope he's doing well, but I had to delete that app. I've since deleted the app. I do not use Yubo.
Speaking of apps, like there's like
Oh, boy.
Tinder, there's Grindr, there's Bumble, there's all
These
these.
apps that teenagers shouldn't be on, because legally you're supposed to be 18, right, to use a lot
Yeah.
of these apps.
Yes, for sure.
And people just, tend to ignore that little tidbit.
I've seen so many people like change the age,
Mhm.
and I've noticed
Like, I have too, but not for dating apps. But, like, in
Yeah.
general, we're so used to, as
Yeah.
kids,
For
changing our
Facebook?
ages. Facebook, Twitter, anything,
Oh,
we're like,
yeah.
we're 18, we're 18, we're 18.
Oh, I'm 18. I was born in 1998.
So if we're just so accustomed to doing that, then why don't we do it for dating apps too? You know what I mean?
and it puts you in a lot of uncomfortable and like dangerous situations
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people will know you're not the age that you put. Like you can tell.
Oh my god.
And
Like,
they're
you
okay
people
with
pretend-
it.
though.
People, like, pretend to not know, but, like, you
You're-
can tell when somebody's not 18.
When if somebody is saying you look mature for your age and you talk mature for your age, they know you're not 18. Like it's weird because it's a lot of groomers and a lot of
Mhm.
predators and stuff.
Discord too.
Discord
is
as well.
crazy.
Discord crazy, and I hear the excuse like it's legal in my state, it's legal in my country.
Yep.
So often it's
That's
just
weird.
like,
That's weird.
that's a 16-year-old you're talking to right
And it's like these quote unquote dating apps, they're not really for dating. It's more so a lot of people seeking like sexual quote unquote relationships or just like hookups. And people know that. That's why you have kids going on here. They're not looking for a boyfriend on Tinder.
Nobody, like, I know, like, adults use Tinder for, like, actual dating and
But when
stuff,
you're
and
a
going on
kid-
dates. But when you're a kid, it's like, you're there to get one thing. And the thing is, like, I feel like a lot of adults either they don't talk about it or they don't know that, like, I could name, like, 10 people right now off the top of my head that have downloaded, like, some of these apps and talk to grown men. I can name so many
Adults.
people, period, that have talked to, like, grown men and have been young, and it's been, like, unhealthy
experience.
But it happens so often. It's so common.
People don't talk about it either because, you know, the whole idea where if you talk about it, someone's going to report it.
Exactly.
And then you're going to get in trouble. And you're going to get punished for something you did just because you're like, you don't know any better, basically.
Well, it's... You want to go?
No, you can go.
It's like, it's not... you do know better.
You do know
Yeah,
that.
that's what I was gonna say.
People do know better. It's just like when I think... You know, we grow up, right?
You're still a kid. Like, you can't, you know.
You're a kid. But it's like... You know what you should and you shouldn't do. I just think that if you are, like, wanting, like, validation enough through, like, not being desired, and then you, like, seek out these
If you can't get it in real life, then internet's the second best way to go, and then it's just... Yeah.
I feel like there's so many different instances and different, like, victims. Like, the way I'm looking at it, there's people who, like, in, like, real life, quote-unquote real life, when they're seen as, like, undesirable or people are bullying them and a lot of people aren't giving them the attention they want, and then they seek it online. And then you have people who are just naive and they don't really understand the severity of the situation, but they know what's right from wrong, but they don't understand that talking to somebody who is 10 plus or even like 5 years older than them isn't a healthy relationship, because I feel like as a child, we don't understand the difference between a good relationship and a bad relationship a lot of the time.
We don't have a lot of experience.
Like, we just think
That's
this is what's supposed to happen. And then we have people who actively seek out people who are older than them because they don't want to deal with people their age.
Yeah.
And they think they're being more mature.
Sure.
And, like, there's probably a lot more, but those are just off the top of my head. And I just, like, this is just from, like, observing. I've just seen how each one interacts with these people. And it's based on, like, gratification most of the time. And at the same time, it's just, like, with each one, it's, like, a different level of shame. And it makes me so sad because it's, like, they're kind of cornered into these spaces with these people online that they know they're probably not supposed to be talking to, but they can't talk to anyone about it because, like, they're scared about the consequences because they know they're just, like, this isn't, like, normal.
And sometimes you can just get addicted to validation from strangers.
It's honestly, okay, I, like, basically did my whole senior project on this. But it's, like, obviously there's, like, cycles, right? And so there's, like, the desire, and then there's, like, the inherent shame that we feel from desire. And then there's, like, but we're human, you know? So you, like, obviously you're gonna, like, want
You're gonna act on
that
it.
validation. And if you aren't, like, because as a gay person, like, I never really had any romantic anything. Like, I just recently started getting romantic things, and I'm, like, 17. So I haven't had that. And I think that, like, my first, like, viewing of a gay relationship was through, like, porn. Which has warped my brain into, like, making gay relationships inherently sexual, and something I had to deal with. But I think it's just, like, I would like to be sympathetic to those people that are, like, seeking out validation, because it's, like, and it's so easy to be like, love yourself, like, you don't need validation, but, like, when you don't get it, it just,
It
like,
fucks you.
you're like, I'm fucked up.
It's always people in relationships telling you to, like, it's so easy.
Two loving parents and a committed boyfriend or girlfriend, and it's just like, well,
It's
maybe
just,
for you.
It's sad that people have to, that's what people think they have to put themselves through. And if they haven't experienced any other relationships, and their first, like, relationship where somebody's giving them positive attention is inherently sexual, then they're just going to get used to that. And that's what
And people seeing them that way and be like, objectifying themselves, basically.
Yeah, because you can objectify yourself, like, in your head. Like, I'm definitely a victim of that.
Yeah, we understand. It's just like you view yourself as something to be, like, used, or you feel like you're an object. So.
And then there's a sort of, like,
Because you want people to want you, right?
I went crazy in quarantine. I would just like to preface that I went crazy in quarantine. And you can sort of, like,
We all did.
forget that you're, like, a person. Like, if you objectify yourself so much, you sort of, like, view yourself from a third person perspective.
Yeah.
And it's, like, it's crazy.
You're, like, basically only seeing yourself through the lens that other people see you at some point. You're just like,
Yeah,
I
and then
need
you're
to
like,
present
well,
myself
who
this way.
am I?
Yeah, it's
What?
just...
What? When you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, am I myself or am I everybody else? And then it's really scary.
Yeah. Damn, like you could even incorporate that with like friendships as well, because you won't feel like, you know, I'm deserving of like this positive interaction. You're just like, I'm supposed to be this crutch for this person, or I'm supposed to be here for this person in all situations because that's my job. A friendship isn't a job, and I feel like this is kind of a good directory into talking about online friendships, because, you know, we meet a lot of people on the internet. A lot of the people that we follow, and a lot of people who were quote unquote like friends, like the invitation thingies that they do on like Facebook or whatever. You don't know those people in real
The
life.
thing is, when people started like talking about online relationships or like friendships, it was like, oh, you can meet people from all over the world, and like even my parents were like, oh, that's pretty cool, but they didn't really know the extent of like what exactly that meant.
Yeah.
True. Parents don't know.
They so in the dark.
How are they, like, they have access to all the information yet are so stupid.
It's
many
like,
things.
y'all really, and like, I feel like that's why shows like Euphoria and even like talking about stuff like this is important, because it like Euphoria like reached such a wide audience that people that were not teenagers could like sort of understand what teenagers go through in this like technological age.
Yeah.
And sometimes, kind of random, but you can't really tell always what a person is like just based on their online persona.
Yeah.
True.
Compared to like knowing them in real life. Like someone could be complete manipulative creep asshole, and then you would figure that out within like a minute meeting them. But if they're like talking really nice to you online, where you can't see their face, you can't see their like how they speak, you wouldn't be able to know until maybe like a month into that friendship when you're already like spiraling because of what they're doing to you.
Yeah, like social media is a perfect way to camouflage the actual person you are, because there are so many like cues that you can't pick up on. There's so many like tone blockers that you can't pick up on. People can literally like lie.
It's
like
much
you can
easier to
easily
lie.
It's way easier to lie online, and that kind of traps people in these weird little friendships where they don't really know the person that they're befriending and telling all this information about themselves to, and then they get in these situations where it backfires on them.
Yeah. And there are people like trauma dump online so hard, and it's like crazy.
Because people also don't understand that like the person they're talking to is a real person. Like, because they're just on a screen, right?
That's
They
true.
don't understand how like it affects someone's real life.
And it's like when you like see people in real life, you can sort of like I don't know how it works.
It's easier to empathize with them.
Yeah, you can. It's like easier to empathize with them, but there's a level of depersonalization online that affects friendships.
The way you speak and act. And
Yeah, because, and the weird thing, like, befriending people online, it puts so much weight on you with, like, response time. Like, your emotions are, like, levied on what emoji this person uses, how they respond, how long it takes them to respond, if they're looking at your story, if they're responding to your story.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're just like, that's not real, though. That's like not.
That's not real.
Like,
That's true.
Like people in the 1950s were not dealing with this kind of shit. They'd be like, oh.
They'd be like, what stories?
It makes like emotions so like fake to me, like online, because there's no real value to it. Because I'm thinking about it, just like, wow, this person doesn't really like me because they didn't respond to my story. Are you for real?
I know a friend that really thinks like that too.
Honestly, I don't. Okay, this is the thing. I don't think that. Like, I am aware that that is stupid and that is dumb and that is not real. However, there is a sick and evil, twisted person inside my brain that tells me that they don't like me, because that opportunity. Like, there's a lot of like online. You have so much opportunity to put yourself out there that, and like, the idea of social media is to get like a response and to get feedback, right? And so when you're putting so much out there and you aren't getting it back, you're kind of like, well, there's always going to be a little part of your brain that's like, well, damn.
I literally have a friend, not to name any names, but she only posts on her story like pictures of herself looking really cute or like, you know, tatas out a little bit. And then...
Is it me?
No.
Just kidding.
And then she texts me every time she does, and a guy doesn't respond to it. Like, the guy she's into doesn't, like... every time. She's like, why didn't he swipe up? Why didn't he like? And I'm like, girl. Every time.
It's like, and I've thought about this too on social media. It's like, well, what am I doing this for? Like, what am I posting this for? Like, what's the reason? And, like, ideally, it's just, like, oh, I just wanted to, like, share, like, this cool picture. I think I look good, you know? But then if you, like, start to, like, base, like, who you are and your self-worth around the amount of attention that people
You
give
check in the
me.
comments just to see
Yes.
like an hour after posting, then
I'm
2
like,
hours
okay,
after, then
how
3 hours
many
after.
likes did I get?
Yeah.
Am I flopping?
Exactly.
Sometimes I do flop on IG.
Yeah, it's alright. Me too.
That's why I don't post. I just
Turn
can't.
off the likes.
Nope.
You turn off the likes?
I turn off the likes and everything.
Slay.
Because I'm just like, why am I staring at it? Like, it makes me not stare at them and, like, try to analyze how many people are looking at it, so.
Like, I don't really care,
Mhm.
but, like, I do know, like, which IG post I have that has the most likes. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, me too.
Interesting.
And I'm like, I could name it easy. And I know how many of my most recent IG posts, how many likes it has.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And then you think about it and you realize the people who are liking it, I don't know these people.
That's true. There are people I have met on
You follow?
IG that I'm like,
I don't know who you are.
I
I've
don't.
never met you.
How many people? Wait, I'm gonna
I
check
have
how
so
many people
many, I know,
follow.
Wait,
like,
wait, wait.
quote unquote, know some people from Canada. A lot of
Exactly.
I follow 1,488
Wow.
people on IG. I do not know that many people.
Yeah. Like, in real life, we don't know our follower count. We do not know as many people as we
Handful,
follow.
yeah.
We don't know as many people as, like, that are following us. So, why do you put so much weight in how they're interacting with our content? Like, why do you care? Like, why do we care, you know?
I mean, that's sort of how it's built.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
like it's like built to make you care, which is
Capitalism.
Mhm.
and it's like it sucks that like there are like 8-year-olds that have Instagram and that
True.
it's obviously going to affect them because it's affecting us.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel bad that like
I want to know when it went from like me posting pictures of geese to like whatever the fuck is
Yeah.
going on now. Because when I was like chilling, and then at some point in time, something morphed to where like you need to seek validation from others
Yeah.
constantly instead of just posting pictures of geese. You know what I mean?
Like, I just started, like, recently just posting about things that I'm interested in and, like, posting less about, like, my appearance.
Mm.
Like, I'll post, like, I just posted something about this movie that I really liked.
right.
And then, like, posting about, like, crocheting and, like, other topics around the world that I'm, like, really interested in and passionate about. Like, I feel like once you start diverting your interests on social media, like, from yourself solely, then you get more comfortable with being, like, your actual self
Have
on
your
social
presence,
media.
yeah.
I agree. Because it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't do like what's that called? You know that thing on TikTok where it was like make Instagram casual again. I thought about it, but I just try to like post and then like I'll just like take a cool picture and I'll be like, oh, that's cool, and then I'll just like post it and then I'll be like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, that's casual.
That's pretty casual.
But it's
I do miss the
hard.
whole like tag 10 friends who this and this and this. Kind of
Those are
those were
fun.
the days. I still have those. Like if you look in my like tagged photos, like there's like a whole row of them.
I
from
like got rid of
2015.
those. You know, you can get rid of your tagged photos.
Why? But like I want to go back to memory lane and just be like simpler times.
I get embarrassed.
I want to see them now.
They're gone.
I feel like with tagged photos, like, especially with Chris, I'm like, why did you pick that picture of me?
No, like sometimes I'm ugly. Like oh my god, or like on your like parents' Facebook.
I feel like you're not allowed to be ugly online. You know what I mean?
That's
You're not allowed to be ugly
true.
online, and it sucks because it's like I can be ugly in person and like I don't care because it's just fucking whatever.
Well, I do care. That's the other thing. If you're like not allowed to be ugly online, then you're like, oh, I can't be ugly in real life. But it's like some days you can just be ugly.
Yeah.
Like,
There's
like
nothing
you
wrong.
don't
Being
have
ugly
to
isn't
like.
the end of the world. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, y'all.
Really?
It's not.
No, just kidding.
Savior. Okay,
No.
he wouldn't know.
I mean, I try and I admire people that like try in their appearance, but I don't think it's like I do it for fun.
Yeah, it's more of a fun thing.
It shouldn't be something that you're like obsessed over.
Sim.
I like look at myself and I'm like, ooh, you know.
You know what's funny? I like will talk about being confident and be like, I said to myself every 10 minutes, it was really great. My mom will be like, that's weird.
Being
Like, why are you-"
confident.
Yeah. I'll be like, yeah, I'm just really happy with how I look right now. And she was like, she just acted like I was being like narcissistic. And I'm like, you know, I struggled with self-image for like years and years and years. And I'm finally being like happy. And
My
so-
parents do that too.
It's like, why are
I'm
you...
like, no, my parents. I'm like, oh, I feel so beautiful today, and my mom's
not
like,
belittle you, right?
vain.
Exactly.
You are vain.
I'm
I'm like, okay.
I wasn't always like this, you know.
I'm like, okay, maybe I like how I look.
Mm-hmm.
This, you know what this reminds me of? Just like how people will like go online and have all these like interactions with older people just because of the way that their parents treat them. Like they'll be seeking out like parent placeholders and stuff, and they will go out and talk to these random older strangers as like a placeholder. And it's sad because not every time you interact with somebody who's older than you, Like, you could be groomed in different ways, and people don't really understand that. Like, it doesn't always have to be in a sexual manner, but just like when, you know, those, like, emotional incest things, like moms always do with their deadbeat sons. Yeah, I'm calling all y'all out. All the mothers who are listening to this, even though you probably aren't, I'm calling y'all out. But anyway, yeah, a lot of people don't realize that these friendships that you have online, they can be detrimental too. And it doesn't always have to be like this, you're actively seeking out sex online. Not all relationships are, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they're not appropriate. You shouldn't really...
That's true.
Like, as a 15-year-old, you really shouldn't be befriending people who aren't...
Who are just adults in general.
Who are, like, 45 as a friend. Because that's not realistic. It's not normal. Not saying that, like,
They
friendships...
can say, oh, it's just a friendship. Like, it's not anything weird. But,
yeah,
like, still...
like,
but it's like, why as a 45-year-old would you talk to a 15?
Exactly.
Like, I'm, like, 17, and I'm, like, I wouldn't... I'm, like, friendly with the freshmen, but I'm not, like, friends with any freshmen.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
It's weird. It's just, like, a huge...
It's, like, get friends your own.
Yeah.
Like, does nobody your age like you for some reason?
I think that's kind of a reason why some people do that, though.
Yeah, probably.
Like, I've observed people that I know that hang out with, you know, younger kids, or not kids, but, like, you know, freshmen to their kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is it because you have no friends? Probably.
And there's probably a reason you have no friends. Is that mean?
I mean, it's honest.
Sometimes, like, when people are like, yeah, my old school, like, I didn't have any friends. And I'm like,
why?
There's probably a reason. Because, like, I don't think making friends is incredibly hard.
It's kind of the same deal why when you're talking about earlier how someone goes after non-consensual sex because they don't feel like they're loved by anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, something happened there. You know?
There's, like, always a reason people are...
And some kids are genuinely evil people and bully
That's true.
kids. Like,
Also, yeah.
Middle school bullies are evil. I don't care. Like, I have never wanted to, like, throw punch somebody so bad in my life than in middle school. Those kids are ruthless.
Like, there's a level of, like... I think middle school is truly, like, Satan's playground. Because there's a level of, like, childness that, like, oh, nothing serious, but, like... Also, you have more access and more, like, brain
You're starting
power.
to, like, finally become conscious of, like, the world around you.
And so you can, like, just, like, fuck with people, like, so hard that it's really...
And I was just talking about earlier how in middle school was the first time, like, when I was at PE, and then some kids would just come up to me and be like, you want to see this video? And I'm like, sure, because I don't know. I'm just like, sure, I'll see the video. And it's literally someone getting, like, gang raped, someone being murdered on, like, I don't even know where they find it on the dark web. And I was just okay. Like, that was just, I was, like, 12 years old being shown these things. And I was
then you just, like, have to go and, like, run a mile.
Yeah, exactly!
The
teachers don't know what's going on. The parents don't know what's going on. No one knows what's going on. These kids are just, like, festering and, like, watching all these things and thinking it's cool.
And you just have to, like, move on with it and just, like, not process it. Because, like, how do you process that on your own as, like, a 12-year-old?
Yeah.
And then, like, those boys that, like, show you the videos, because, like, there is...
And they're gonna be adults, too.
They're gonna be adults, and they're gonna be
fucked up.
They're gonna be fucked up. And it's, like, one, how do you find that? As, like, a 13-year-old, as a 12-year-old, where did you get
Why are
that?
you enjoying it so much?
It's, like, too easy to access a lot of terrible things on the internet. It's way too easy. It's one search away.
So easy.
And people are like, I'm on the dark web. No, babes. You looked up the dark web.
Yeah, you went looking for it.
Like, that. I think, like, it's so difficult to, like, find all these terrible things when they're just out there.
The internet is truly a terrible place.
And then, you know what I'll notice? Like, I'll be on TikTok and stuff. Also, TikTok could have its own episode, but I'm not even going to get into that. But you'll see these, like, really traumatizing, like, storylines. And then everybody in the comments will be like, link? They'll be like, where's this video? I want to see the video. And I'm just like, are y'all okay?
People are weird.
They're all sadistic.
There's, like, an increasing level of sadism in our society. And I think it comes from, like, the depersonalization that you get through social media. Because, like, those boys that, show you, like, rape videos, they don't, like...
They don't know the people.
They don't know the people. They don't take it seriously because they've, like, completely... It's not people. It's, like, pixels to them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's scary. And that's why I think people become more sadistic, and then that translates into your real life. Because like I've even in myself like have sort of just like I'm very good at like putting up a block in my head and being like, that's not like I can't do anything about it. That's not real, and it's not good.
And that's why it's so easy to have like two different personalities, like one in real life and then one online, because you're just like, well, that's not real.
And that's
like,
why people like even online friendships, like when they act a certain way, they can think that you just like disappear one day and it won't matter. You know what I mean? You can just ghost somebody and it won't matter because you don't know them. And just.
But you can like, and not to hate on like online friendships, like
there's some good
cool
ones.
people.
Yeah, for sure.
I've met, but it's like, I don't. Just because there's one good thing doesn't mean that like. That's like a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
You can affect someone so heavily and have no idea.
And you're putting yourself in such a vulnerable like position, and sometimes it works out. But even if I don't think people should be in that vulnerable position in the first place. Is
Like,
the thing.
Did we all have those instances where you would meet somebody who you think was really cool online, and then they would be like, "I'm going to commit suicide," or like, "I'm going to harm myself," and then you feel like that's your responsibility
to deal with.
And then you're like, "Fuck, I need to help them."
Yeah,
but you're like 11.
You're like 11 years old, trying to get people to get off the
okay,
ledge.
Let me get out the DSM. I got this.
And then you'd be up to like 4 a.m. sometimes, like helping this person when you have a real life too that you gotta deal with.
Yeah.
It's like you have school.
The next morning.
You have first period.
For real.
Like go to sleep.
Yeah. And honestly, to wrap things up, I feel like as kids, we need to watch Law and Order SVU a little bit more because you should not put yourself in these positions where you're meeting up with people that you're meeting online, because it's a scary place out there and people are not who they say they are online. This is how these kids are getting kidnapped and they're getting trafficked, and it's very dangerous. So please beware of the stranger danger online. It's terrible.
I think people don't believe it anymore because I feel like as a kid I was always telling my parents like, oh, it's okay, these people, like, they're not bad people, they're only like 16 when I was like 13, right? I was like, they're not adults, they're not pedophiles, like, you're just being dramatic, like I was like gaslighting my parents like that. When like in reality I was stupid, I was just being dumb. Like, it is a threat, it is a real issue, and I just want to excuse it, you know?
The thing is, like, most people like don't know, and it sucks.
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to everybody that has to go through that.
I think this was a very good episode.
Yeah.
I'm proud of this one.
You're welcome.
You're a great guest.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Xavier, for joining our podcast
Happy
today.
to be here. Happy to, join Boo Boo in the Brain or Banksy in the bailiwick.
Yeah.
I'm not smart enough to
I didn't understand anything that's going on right now.
It doesn't make any sense. So
Oh,
there's nothing to
okay. Nothing
understand.
being referenced?
There's no reference.
All right.
There's no reference. Just Jamba Juice in my brain.
Slay.
Okay,